Testing. Can you all hear me, folks? Yeah. Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and children, if there's any here tonight, maybe in spirit, um, to the Paradise Recreation Park District Board of Directors meeting of December the 10th, 2025. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you very much, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Director Jolene Levy.
Here.
Director Steve Rodwick.
Here.
Director Robert Anderson.
Here.
Secretary John Stonebreaker.
Here.
Chairperson Alma Green.
Here. Let the record show that all board members are present based on the roll call. At this point in time, I want to welcome all our guests here this evening. Thank you so much for braving the elements and attending our meeting tonight. Let's move on to item 2 on tonight's agenda. This is what's called public comment. This is something that's required by state law for all bodies such as special districts, such as our district is. This is your opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to speak to this board on anything that's not on tonight's agenda if you have something you just want to share in general. Does anyone wish to exercise that opportunity this evening? You have any non-agenda item that you want to talk about briefly with the board? Okay, well, judging by the silence, then apparently not. So we're going to move on to item 3 on tonight's agenda. It's called consent agenda, of which there are 3 items on consent. Consent agenda items are voted on together, basically, rather than individually. The 3 items we have is board minutes of our last meeting of the board, which was a special meeting on November the 24th. Item 3.2 is payment of bills and disbursements. This is something we do every month as a part of the regular board meeting. And item 3 is an information item relative to one of our safety committee meetings, which is a staff meeting that's internal. Staff, is there any request for anything from consent agenda to be pulled and acted upon individually this evening?
I'd like to pull item 3.1.
3.1, which is the board minutes of last meeting, okay? And that's only staff's request, right? Okay, any board members want anything pulled off of consent? Okay, so with that in mind, we could entertain action on the other 2 consent agenda items and then proceed with the board minutes. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda items 3.2 and 3.3. Second.
Okay, thank you, Director Roderick for the motion and Director Anderson for the second. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on that motion, please?
Director Jolene Levy.
Aye.
Director Steve Rodwick.
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson.
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker.
Aye.
Chairperson Alma Green.
Aye.
Motion carries with 5 ayes.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll move on to item 3.1, board minutes of the last meeting of November the 24th, a special meeting. Madam Clerk, do you want to bring something to our attention on that?
Yep, in the very first sentence where it says call to order, I neglected to switch it from regular meeting to special meeting. So I have now corrected the minutes to read Chairperson McGreen called the special meeting of the Paradise and Recreation Park District to order.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. All the board members are aware of that correction. So at this point in time, we'll ask the board to entertain an action on item 3.1 as corrected.
I believe that the record should show that under non-agenda public comment, there was comment from citizen Chris Rowan.
Oh, you mean actually in the minutes itself? You want to?
Yes. So,
So you're suggesting a further correction? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you got that, Madam Clerk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with those corrections in mind, I'm going to ask for a vote on approving those board minutes as corrected. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
Okay, we have a motions made by Director Stonebreaker and second by Director Anderson. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Director Jolene Levy.
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson.
Aye.
Director Steve Rodwick,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker,
Aye.
and Chairperson Alma Green.
Aye.
Motion carries with 5 ayes.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 4 on tonight's agenda, committee reports, of which we have 3 committee potential reports this evening. I think staff or board members have received written reports relative to those meetings, but
You'll actually see 6 reports. So there's
Oh,
all of
okay.
November's reports and December's.
you're right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. There's 6 reports, but there were 3 committees involved, basically, okay? So with that in mind, let's move on. Item 4.1, Finance Committee. The chair, do you want to entertain verbalizing anything that the rest of the board needs to be aware of in conjunction with the actual report?
Nothing that we won't be addressing later on in regular motion. So for expediency, we'll move on.
Concur.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to Personnel Committee, item 4.2. Whoops, excuse me. And you should point out that the Finance Committee met twice, right? During that,
Yes,
Yeah, time.
essentially, going over the same material.
okay, thank you. So Personnel Committee, the chair, do you want to share anything verbally relative to the Personnel Committee's two meetings that they conducted since last time we met?
Much of the material we went over in personnel, were doing in finance as well. And again, we'll be addressing that later on
Tonight's agenda?
in
Okay.
tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, item 4.3, Recreation Park Committee. Chair Anderson, do you have anything you want to verbalize to share for the benefit of the full board?
Just that both meetings were updates on active projects.
And I do want to make a correction on the Recreation and Park meeting, report on closed session. Committee chair, it says Chair Roderick. It needs to be changed to Chair McGreehan.
Which committee report?
That would be Rec and Park
Which date, which committee meeting?
of 10:30. What's that?
No,
No.
the other meeting doesn't have a closed session. Yeah, so I see what you're saying, Director Roderick. That should be Director Anderson's name there. Do you see what we're talking about,
Oh, yeah.
Madam Chair? Not Chair, but Clerk, excuse me.
I got it. Yep.
Okay, so let the record show that we've caught an error and a correction's been made this evening with consent of all the board members. Is that okay?
Kurt?
Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes the committee reports this evening. So we're going to move on to old business. Old business item 5.1, Paradise Horsemen's Association Annual Report. Scarlett, I know you're here this evening, so could you come up and interact with the board this evening? We really appreciate you being here tonight.
Can you hear me? Okay. So you want me to give my report and then we'll go ahead and do the slideshow? Where is my slideshow guy? Okay. Oh, he's ready? Oh, okay. Give me just a second and then we'll go in that and I'll walk you guys through that. So I did submit the annual report, so you should have all had that. I do have 6 of my board members here with us tonight. So we're missing several of them. I don't think they wanted to come up through the valley, but these brave souls came with me. So thank you guys for coming up here with us. We had another busy year this year. We topped 100 memberships. So I was surprised to see that. That was really nice to see. 25 brand new this year that have never been members of PHA before. So still growing the club. It equates to over 175 individuals. Definitely seeing more families with younger children. It's been a while since we've seen the younger children. We kind of go through ebbs and flows like everything does. Had a lot of teenagers and then just no young children. Starting to see those younger children filtering back in, so that's kind of nice. neat to see that we're providing a recreational outlet for a different type of recreation up here. Next year, we're actually adding a junior PHA committee with the younger kids wanting to come in. They want to throw some of the adults, throw some events for the adults. It's kind of be fun. So we're going to have some events for 30 and overs, and the youngsters are going to be running it. So that'll be kind of a fun thing. They want to have a couple of junior PHA campouts and little bake sales and things like that. So it's kind of fun to get them involved. We've had a lot of spectators in the community coming out to watch. We always put our signs up on the road so people know that we have events coming. We try to advertise as much as we can with the Chamber of Commerce. We advertise on Facebook and Magalia Rants and Raves. We try to put everything out on there so we have more people coming through the arena to see what we have going on. Horse Festival, Gold Nugget Days is always a real big crowd pleaser. The weather has not been in our favor this year. Our arena has, the conditions in our arena has really taken a hit with the weather. The Gold Nugget Days was one. We just had rain, and our arena, for some reason this year, I don't know if it's the water coming off the back hill. Actually, I know that that's part of it from the bike path, but it's literally become a mud hole in that arena. And so our horse festival had low numbers because we had spectators or demonstrators that had to cancel, couldn't even run in the arena. It was just that bad. And then of course it rained that whole weekend, which either, it either rains on your parade or it's sunny and hot, and it's just the way it is in April. But so we had a hard time with our horse festival this year, because of weather and our arena conditions. Our very popular Gymkhana shows are averaging around 50 riders at each one of our shows. And then we have our Amaze Day obstacle courses, and I'll go through all that on there. We always have our treasure hunt ride. We partnership with Meadowbrook Ranch up in Upper Magalia, and we help them to maintain the ranch. We go and we clear the trails for them. Anything that they need, they know that they can count on PHA to help them out to maintain their ranch up there with them. This coming Saturday, we get to go Christmas caroling through town. That's a big deal. That's one of our funnest events. All the horses get adorned in Christmas, our outfits. We sing Christmas carols. Barney O'Rourke's is getting ready for us to come down there at noon. Starbucks knows we're coming. Joy Lynn's knows we're coming. It's been advertised pretty heavily. Probably have about 20 plus horses. And the Hansky Family Farms is going to be behind us with their wheeler and the poop scooping. And so it'll be a really fun thing that we do down the bike path. So that's coming up. Like I said, all our events are open for the public to come watch. Any way that Parks and Rec can help us get some of those that word out some with you have our event schedule, I think, for 2026. Any of those events are always open for the public to come and watch. We still to this day have people have no idea we have a horse arena in town. It's just kind of nice. They can come and watch. Doesn't charge that we don't cost, or we don't charge anything to come and watch our events. We still have riders coming from Reno, Redding, Vacaville, Stockton, and Lake County. That's how far we've had people come this year. We partnership with CAL FIRE and the Paradise Police Department. Paradise Police Department uses our arena for canine training, and they come to most of our big functions. They usually drive around. We've had a lot of problems on the bike path with motorcycles and things going through there. They're also using the back trails behind the horse arena. So there's been several times we've had to call the police department. They've actually come down from the bike path, and they're spinning roadies on the gravel in the arena area. So we've had to get in touch with the police department several times about the damage that's been done in that area. So anyways, they're very familiar with us over there. We have one of the nicest arenas in California. Parks and Rec should be very proud of that. With that said, we just recently got done completely pressure washing every single one of those rails. We just had it stained, so everything is good to go. I just got notice today that it was completed today. So it's ready to go for winter. Would like to dig out the backside of that arena because the dirt has washed down that hillside from the bike path, and it's pushing against all those railings. It's literally up to the bottom railing right now, the dirt is, and it's pushing in that entire arena railing. So it'd be nice at some point if we could find a way to dig along that backside of that railing so we don't continually, have this issue. Now, honestly, one of the big issues that we have is the drainage in that arena is one of the things that really holds us up. We had our big Fall Fest Gymkhana show the first weekend in October. We had over 65 horses pre-registered. We had to cancel that because, again, we had one rainstorm and it was literally better suited for swimming than it was to even have a show. We had to cancel that show. We had to rain date it for the following weekend, lost 20 some riders to that, trying to use that arena in early October, which put us in with, I guess the ball fields had a major tournament that weekend. And I guess it was the big hitters, and some balls came over and hit a couple of the horses that were tied up to the trailers. One had to have a vet bill on there, had a big hematoma. So with that said, one of the things that we were talking about as a club is to possibly to maybe think about having a net put up or something right where the balls come over. If they hit a what do you call it, home run, those balls come right on over. And if they do, that's where we park our trailers. We have no other place to park the trailers but right there. And like I said, that one just hit that horse and it hit it right in the chest. Had it hit it in the head, we could have had a dead horse on our hands, or we could have had a broken window or a truck damage or whatever. So it was brought to our attention that, to talk with Parks and Rec about possibly, to look into some type of a netting or something just on that one side to, maybe protect, us from those balls coming over. Mm-hmm.
Quick question. So that event that you had was on the same weekend as the tournament, the softball tournament?
We had to we rain dated it.
So you changed the date because of a rain out.
Yes.
When you changed it, did you coordinate with Parks and Rec to find out what was going on that particular weekend you wanted to change it to?
I think it was on our schedule for a rain date, but I didn't call Parks and Rec and say, hey, we have to use our rain date. So, but it was on our schedule that I give out, always has like a rain date on there, but I didn't actually call Parks and Rec and say, hey, we're going to use a rain date. So, in that regard, that was, our oops. We just have never had to rain,
That's not the point. I just want your help for clarity so we can try to minimize that ever
Right.
happening. And get,
There's lots of times where we have shows and they're still over there using the ball fields, but sometimes it's the junior leagues or whatever, and there's still balls that come over, even with it's not really that far if you think about it. There are still some balls that come over even when we do have, if we do have simultaneous events. But those were like I guess the senior hitters or whatever. And in the past, in all the years that I have been with the club, it's happened a couple of times.
well, just for your edification, I think what's happened is because of technology and everything, a lot of the bats nowadays are what's called hot bats. And they add more emphasis and distance to a ball once it's hit. So that needs to be reckoned with somehow with our activities and yours, perhaps. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that's my idea, but,
Yeah.
you just need to be aware of that. That's
Yeah.
one of the things.
That's why I just wanted to bring it up, just so, we do that. And I know that we've always tried to, coordinate with what we have on our calendar with, those, and that's never really happened in October. We just had that one storm that came in and we weren't expecting it to hit our arena that way, to have that much water in that arena just sitting there. It was just weird. The drainage in that arena has just been really awful this year. So, and I've talked to Mark about it, and, I've talked to Dan about it, and some of it was from when they redid the bike path up on top and they did the drainage, and it literally just ran right down into the arena, and it's just washing it away from the back, and that's why it's all washed against the bottom railing of that arena. And we're just losing, I think we put $5,000 or $7,000 worth of sand in the arena this year, and it's all in the fire department. It just runs right down out into the fire department, and so we're trying to find ways of how to retain that sand. Right now we put up several hay bales along the back side trying to hold that sand in, and the water just found a way to go underneath it, So we're thinking, do we try to raise up the sand on that side to bring that back up, outside the railing, so there's just, at some point, would like to get together and just talk about options of what we can do so we can use this arena more than 6 months out of the year. So,
Scarlett, I don't know if you remember, but back when we were looking at the options on railings over there, we had a contract come in and did a preliminary estimate as to potentially regrading and bumping in the railings in a little bit to kind of create a little bit of a swell in there, or kind of a, not really a French drain, but they were talking about kind of a conduit that would go underneath. The cost estimate they gave us was pretty prohibitive, but there's probably something, it sounds like some things have changed out there. I think it was 80 to 100K that they were, because it's a long distance for, Christie's, that number seem about right? Yeah. A lot of trenching, but I think it sounds like things are different in the last couple of years, and
Yeah.
it'd be worth us looking at it in 26. So I think it's been, it's been probably a couple of years since we've went out together. So
Yeah.
let's schedule something in
okay.
26 and take a look at it.
Okay. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I think we all would. So, okay. And then, so yeah, that's kind of what I had there. And then our 20-year lease is up in 2026 in October. And I think we have it on the calendar to start renegotiating our lease in March, I think. And March 12th. Yep, I think I've got it on there too.
That might be a good time for our visit.
That might be a good time. So, but yeah, we, really want to thank, PRPD staff. We've had a really good relationship all these years, and we look forward to another 20 years, hopefully, and, that we can keep going. So, but with that, let's go ahead and do the slideshow so you could, it's always better to see it. And this was an old one. This is when the arena was actually dry in October. So it's just a good picture. So I wanted to leave it on there. Oh, okay. Motion. Here you go. Okay. So, Halloween play days. These are, our annual, we do these every single year. And, it's just for our, members only that we do this for. There you go. Okay. So, adults and kids have a really fun time with this, as you can see. So, okay, and we'll go ahead and go to the next one. And there's some pictures of our horse festival. This year, the one up on the upper right, that was the Paradise Police Department outside of the arena they were in charge of the stick horse races because we couldn't use the inside of the arena because it was just so swampy. So the Paradise Police Department went ahead and they got involved with the kids and did the stick horse races with the kids. It was a lot of fun. So, okay. Yeah, they were having a blast. And then there's the Gold Nugget Days Parade. We've ridden in that every single year since its inception, I think. So all different types of horses and our float and big horses, ponies, you name it, we've got them all. So, and then our Gymkhana shows, it's one of our most popular programs that we have. Youngsters, all the way up to 95, doesn't matter. We have something for everybody with this group of riders here. And then these are obstacle clinics where we hold these clinics just to desensitize horses to different things that they may see out on the trail or in urban areas. The fire department came over and helped us desensitize the horses for parades and things like that. And this is up at Meadowbrook at one of our treasure hunt ride is one of the most popular. We maxed out at 70 riders this year, and they come from all over the place for this. They camp out, we pack that place, and it's just a lot of fun. Everybody dresses up as pirates, and they go out and they find 15 treasures hidden around the entire ranch. And it's just a lot of fun. They come with their kids, they come with their dogs, everybody dresses up. We have a catered dinner, a live band. It's just one of our most popular events that we throw. And this is our Maze Day obstacle course. It's a timed event that we set up, and we make our own events for this, and also becoming one of the next most popular events that we throw at the arena for all ages. and our work days. We were able to use the permit, our burn permit this year that Mark Cobb gave us to use, and made sure that we checked with the Air Resource Board. But that was super helpful. You can see how much work it is to get those pine needles out of that arena. That bottom left picture there, it was amazing how many pine needles fall in that arena. The amount of work it is to get that cleaned up every year. We can't use our tractor until we get all those pine needles out of that arena. It jams up our implement if we try to do it beforehand. So it's a lot of work. This is the arena drainage issue. This is what our arena looked like after that first October rain. So you'll see in the top left, right there where he is with the arrow, that one right there. Yeah, that's our gate where all the sand washes down into the fire department. That's the bottom of the arena. It just comes straight through there and washes it out. The other pictures that you see is what's coming down from the bike path, and it's coming directly down into the arena. And I've never seen it like that in all these years. So I don't know. They've worked on the bike path. They've redone the ditches up there, and that's what it's doing. And then the bottom pictures is what our arena looks like. You can't really see it, but it's all puddled, the whole thing all the way around, and it rendered it totally useless. You can't put a horse in there. They really will go up past what we call them, their fetlocks, which is their ankles, and it's just not safe. So that's what we were dealing with after one rainstorm in October.
So to clarify, the town put in a culvert underneath the bike path. So water that's coming down from above the bike path is going under the bike path, carving that rivulet down into the arena, bringing all of that mud up against the rails, and then also bringing all of that moisture in that's essentially soaking the arena from underneath.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone from PRPD has talked to the town about that, but that a swale could be built around the arena to take that back into the natural stream bed rather than destroying the arena with the water coming down from above.
Does anyone have pictures of that, especially if there's rain?
I have
on it?
lots.
That would be great, because then that would help us
Yeah.
make
So
any case.
again, I'm on that bike path often, and I look down. I said, well, we got a 1/4 inch of rain. Why is this a mud hole? And over the course of the year, you could see all of the erosion down the hillside. And if you get off of the bike path, and there's like a bridle trail that goes along it, that used to be a double railroad. And there was a point in the year where roadworks closed both the bike path and Skyway at the same time. And I was biking along the bridle trail and really got a sense of how that culvert underneath is driving all of that water into the horse arena. So I'd be happy to share those both with PHA and with PRPD staff and try to put something together so the town understands that they're a stakeholder in this, and maybe we can all work together and resolve this.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say that one picture, especially in the middle and then off to the right, are very compelling on telling that story. If we couple it with information that Director Stonebreaker has, I think that makes a very compelling argument to discuss it with the town. If you could send me actually all those pictures separately, so I have high quality pictures.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Will do. Okay. So we'll move on. Yeah. And this is when we have our big 2-day events at the arena. This is just some of the stuff that happens in the evening. The kids all have fun. The adults have fun. Just some of the evening stuff that happens there. And then this is just some of the stuff of when we're all together. We have Christmas parties. The kids all get together. We stopped doing our Christmas parties because everybody got so busy. So instead we have a meet and greet party in January 10th at the Lutheran Church here. We've been having a New Year's party instead. And that way we just have a new membership drive and everything for our members. And it's easier that way for us instead of having a Christmas party. This is our Fall Fest Gymkhana. This is our big Gymkhana that we throw, and this is in our the October one. This is from the year before. Like I said, this year we were dealing with a lot of, the water in the arena, so we didn't have the turnout that we had the year from before. And this was more pictures of the treasure hunt ride and camp out that we had up at Meadowbrook. Just more pictures of the winners that won their buckles and found all the trinkets and things, and then some of the horseback riders out on the trails and all the food, the potluck that everybody brought, just so you can get an idea of what Meadowbrook looks like up there. And Christmas caroling. This is what you're going to see here on Saturday. Everybody going through Starbucks and all the horses all adorned. It's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. So if you're not doing something, come look for us. We'll be out there on the bike path.
Are the horses going to go through the drive-through?
Yes, they do. Starbucks. They look forward to it every year.
What time will you start that event on Saturday?
At 11. And head down. We should be at Barney O'Rourke's by around noon. 12:15. We sing about 4 or 5 songs for them, and then we head to Starbucks, and then from there we head to Joy Lynn's, and then we head back to the arena.
The horses at Starbucks.
Oh, they just put up with it. It's us that get all the goodies.
There's not like a pup cup for horses.
Bring that up to them. That's a good
Get
idea.
back to us.
Okay, we'll go on the next one. And then our drill team, actually this year, our drill team has expanded, and we've traveled to different places. We actually, we went down to Chico Equestrian Association at Bidwell Park, and we performed for them. That's the picture you see there on the left and the top right. The ones on the bottom are at Camelot Equestrian Park down there by Butte College. They had one of their, the Machupta tribe had their home, I don't know what you call it. What did they call that? Dinner. The founder of Camelot, they had a festival for him, and they asked if we'd come down and perform for them. So our drill team, that's our PHA drill team that went down there and performed for them. So we're hoping to get our drill team more together and start traveling to different rodeos and parades and things around Northern California. So, yeah. Thank you. And then parades. Again, this is the first year we actually went and did the Chico 4th of July parade. We were the only equestrian group in the Chico 4th of July parade. They were so ecstatic to have us down there. That was scary. We had no idea how many people were down there in Chico and how big that was. And you come around the corner and all those buildings, it was just, I can't believe how good our horses did. You'll see in that bottom right picture, we had the mini donkey, the mini horse. We had 8 horses from our drill team that were there. And they were so tickled. These horses were decked out in 4th of July, and they got in touch with us several times afterwards and said, please, will you come back? Will you come back? Durham has asked us to come to theirs. So just a matter of getting our group together to start hitting all these parades up. But that was a lot of fun to go down there and represent Paradise at the Chico 4th of July parade too. And then these are some of the awards that we give out at our Gymkhana. We've given out saddles, we've given out buckles, we've given out cups, and we travel. Those are our shirts when we travel to different shows around. Our ribbons, we're pretty well known in the area for what we do up here. And that is it. So thank you for your time and your support.
Do any of the board members have any questions of Scarlett or any of the other Horsemen Association members?
Would any of the other board members like to introduce themselves?
I'm Kelly Tapp. This is my first year as one of the directors.
Just for the record, I would say that I did get to stop at the horse festival during Gold Nugget Dates and have some conversations about the group, the association, and the issues at the arena. I also was able to stop at the treasure hunt ride at Meadowbrook and see what a great partnership they have with the Vandergrifts and Meadowbrook Ranch, and also what a great weekend out it was for all of the participants. So we appreciate what PHA does, bring these people to our area to recreate, and hope that we can continue our partnership.
And I'd like to add, here at PRPD, safety is paramount. And while we can't make a direction or a motion right now, I would urge staff to look into strategically placed netting around the ball field.
Just one last general comment. Just for my education, what year was PHA created? 1990. My gosh. Well, your association and what you folks do, you are a crown jewel of the Ridge, no doubt about it. And I am so appreciative of our relationship with you. When I say our, I'm talking about the district, but some of you know who I am. I've been a longstanding member of this body. It's always been a pleasure to work with you folks. And I know I've been here long enough. I can remember when we negotiated the 20-year lease. So there you go. But anyway, thank you all very much for the annual report, and thank you for coming this evening, ladies. We really do appreciate you. So at this point in time, we're going to move on to old business item 5.2, updated job descriptions. We'll ask staff to give us a verbal presentation to augment the written staff report, and we'll go from there. Staff?
What's
I was gonna say that if you guys did not want to stay for this, you're more than welcome. Yeah, I was just waiting to start the presentation until then.
But you are welcome to stay for the
Yeah.
entire meeting if you want. So the
Maybe the
report
fog will clear up. Just kidding.
starts on page 19, and there's a whole series of items behind that. This has been part of a pretty lengthy effort for us. So this goes back to originally we had a revision on our job descriptions a couple of years ago, really updated, got a good format, and I think ability to review this on a regular basis and document it. Earlier this year, we had a opportunity to work with CPS HR to do a comp study and classification study, and this is part of that effort. They had some actually very, I think, complimentary things to say about our approach and how the job descriptions did match with the interviews that they did with staff at each position. They did have some recommendations and some changes that were made in here. We also took this opportunity to kind of, I would say, I don't know if modernize is the right word, but kind of simplify the duties and responsibilities. So for example, any of these sections here, you'll see that there's kind of a grouping by a functional area. So before we might have a list of bullets that would have anything from administrative duties to IT and tech support, for example, for the admin assistant 1 and 2. And then also just kind of the information on front desk staff. So we've changed that to kind of group it together to where it's kind of, I think, much more describable to incoming staff and gives a good way for us to update this in a logical way as it goes forward. There is a new job description that's for the executive assistant. This has been through personnel committee several times in different iterations, and we got really great feedback there on consistency and making sure that they job descriptions are flow a little bit better. So we recommend adopting the job descriptions as presented, and then Sarah and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
And I might add that the personnel committee unanimously recommended favorably with staff's recommendation this evening. Is that correct? Just for the record? Okay. Do
That-
board
yeah,
members have
that's
any comments or questions of the staff on this agenda item?
I just have a comment, being a member of the Personnel Committee, what everybody was looking for, and Dan, you mentioned that consistency in format and I think more importantly, specificity in job description. And going through these, page by page, it seems like we pretty much accomplished that goal. And, thanks to our consultant who, steered us in the right direction. We made some minor changes, but I think overall the end product is something that we can work with and, become a smoother operating organization.
Can we clarify when we say we made some minor changes? Was that staff or staff with direction from the committee?
That was a combination of us as a committee. I don't have my notes to be specific on that, but there, if I recall correctly, there were some minor changes that we agreed to send forward, and those changes were made. And don't ask me to say exactly which ones.
Yeah, and I can add something to that. So there are items that the consultant provided us. Those are relatively minor, and I think they really had to deal with consistency on our part and making sure that the direct reports, for example, were very clear cut. So that was something that was it was in the previous version, but sometimes it wasn't all in all of them, for example. One thing that staff had run by the board, by the committee to look at was this idea of kind of these functional descriptors. And so we did that with a couple of the job descriptions and then did that on the rest. So those you'll see have some changes from last year's or previous year's job descriptions. But, I think the feedback we got were improvements on readability. I think being able to describe it to not only our staff, but recruitment. So if we have job duties and functions, instead of a long list of what they could do, we could say it has certain functional areas are part of that role.
Also, in response to John, just so that you know that the Personnel Committee members not only interacted with staff on this during their committee meetings, but we were also given the job descriptions to look at on our own time and get back to staff any inconsistencies that we saw. So we were trying to mail that into the proper format, and I think that was done. I can't single out changes that they were editorial type things, very extremely minor, but that was part of the process. Just so you know.
Just with regards to consistency, in some of these cases, the responsibilities and duties are bulleted, and in some cases they are not. Also, specifically under recreation program specialist, this is on page 49 of the packet, the requirements and qualifications header is in the wrong place. That if this is going to go into like an employee handbook for new employees, then that should probably be made more consistent. I'll leave it to the people who've looked at this more than I have, whether those should all be bulleted or none should. And also, the history seems to say for all of these that latest version was approved on 4/13/2022, but I went back and looked, and only some of the job descriptions are in that packet. There are a lot that weren't updated at that time and possibly haven't been updated since 2015 or 2017. I don't know if that matters for the employee handbook, but that caught my eye. I was trying to get a sense, like trying to create my own red line of the differences between the current job descriptions and the previous job descriptions. And again, I have the 2022 job descriptions, but not the ones that are from before fire. So I can't really say how much has changed, but of the substantive changes, I didn't see anything I would object to.
I will say that all of these have a brand, this format with the color and the box on the bottom that gives the action. All those indicate these are from 2022 or so, circa 2022. The previous versions were very dated and had a lot of things that we needed to remove that just didn't apply anymore. In particular, related to some of the physical requirements. So there's a lot of inconsistency on that. So we've come a long way from those earlier versions. Thank you for those comments.
Any other comments, questions from board members? Hearing none, we'll open this to the floor. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the board on this agenda item 5.2, updated job descriptions proposed? Okay, judging by the silence, we'll bring it back to the board. I ask that the board consider an action item on this as requested. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the job descriptions as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been made and seconded. Just quick for clarification, does that motion as seconded include what Director Stonebaker has pointed out as far as what do you call it?
Or the consistency on the bullets versus.
Says opposed to non-bullets.
I would suggest this, because our intent is to have these, not wait a decade, on a job description, but to have on a regular basis that we can. I would welcome the comments that board members may have on there, and then share it with us, and we can reissue a new one. But I think it would be great. I think there's nothing substantive on the comments. Then I would say we adopt them and fold in the formatting changes on the next version, which hopefully is forthcoming.
Okay, that almost recognizes further clarification on the intended motion as seconded, that we actually, if we pass it tonight, we adopt it with that in mind, that any further refinements will come back.
I think that would be the wise way of doing it rather than trying to
Right.
navigate it tonight.
I totally agree, because given the history of these job descriptions, I think it's time for us to have them all in one heap, rather than piecemeal. So, with that in mind, then we'll ask for a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Director Jolene Levy,
Aye.
Director Steve Rodwick,
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker,
Aye.
and Chairperson Alma Green.
Aye.
Motion carries with 5 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to move on to item 5.3, updated salary scale. Again, we'll ask for staff to give us a verbal presentation to augment their written report that's in our packet this evening before we open it to the public and board interaction. So staff?
Yeah, I'll try and be brief. There is a pretty lengthy report in the packet that starts on page 58, by the way. This has been on an annual basis, we typically will have our wage and salary negotiations, conversations with our staff. This is actually reflects a delay from the last round because we wanted to have good, solid information as part of our compensation study from, again, the same consultant, CPS HR. And they provided a very thorough evaluation and recommendations on it. A couple of the high points to mention on it would be, first of all, they looked at the 8 or 9 different districts, all park and rec districts. Some in our area, some as far away as Sacramento area, but kind of comparable in either size or budget, and in some cases both, or proximity to us. So there's kind of a mix here, and kind of like this comp studies that you would do for an appraisal. There's some pluses and minuses, something match up, some job positions match up in one organization and they may not exist in another. So there's a fair amount of information they had to sort through. Kind of some big picture items that they kind of wanted to bring up was our bandwidth. So that by that I mean the distance between the lowest step and the highest step, they said ours was pretty narrow, then that needed to increase, which in turn, depending on your math, if you're doing 8 steps or 10 steps, they recommended 10, but both our staff and committees felt that the 8 steps would keep with that for the time being. Cause the increase in each step having a little bit more. There's also, I think some of the bigger stuff was related to some of the positions. We've simplified our salary scale. We used to have it split up by part-time and full-time employees, which kind of created some dissonance because we had some positions that were named the same, but if you're a part-time person versus a full-time person, they were different pay rates at the same step. And so that didn't make sense, but that's how we did it, because we'd solve the part-time part, the hourly part with a minimum wage, and we'd typically come back on an annual basis and do the full-time staff with a July 1st, a fiscal year change. So this kind of has more consistency. We can change it. We could certainly change it by positions, but I think if we're doing an overall cost of living increase, we could do it all at once. It might be a little cleaner. So the recommendation, because that has been behind the times on it, that we'd have this adoption tonight of 2 scales. One would be, and this is on page, oh boy, 65, or revised, one that would be retroactive to July 1st. And then maybe not a surprise if you've been watching California minimum wage increases last few years, there is an increase that kicks into effect on January 1st. So there are 2 salary scales. One would be retroactive to July 1st of this fiscal year, the first day of this fiscal year, and the other would kick in on January 1st and hold up from there. There were a couple of things that I think came up that we'll have to address at our Personnel and Finance Committee. A couple of things could be related to increased steps. Another one is our change of policy on how we assign steps. So taking a look at that will be, I think, on our long list of to-dos on Personnel Committee. And I won't go into that too much right now, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. We do give kind of, if you look on page 59, it gives kind of a lot of information about it, but not for individual positions. There was one error that we found on here. Is it the rec supervisor or specialist? Rec specialist. Yeah, so that should also be a part-time and full-time position. So no changes to the dollar amount, just make that change on your salary scale, and we'll do the same. It'd be 65 and 66, both of
Both
those.
of them? Okay.
Yeah, both of them need to be
So
changed.
under the
part-time
column
and
called
full-time.
status,
Under status,
Yeah.
correct, yes.
all board members have that?
Yes.
Oh, it's after that section. There you go.
Does that conclude your oral presentation?
Yeah, and like I said, I think our committees were both very involved with this for several months now. So I think they may have certainly a perspectives to add to it, but this has been, different versions have been reviewed, and this is the fine-tuned version, I think captures a lot of the consultant recommendations and then just some of the sentiment from staff and board. I'll also mention at Personnel, we had the opportunity to meet with our employee representatives. We have 2 of them here tonight. And they reacted favorably to the proposed salary scale.
What's being proposed
Yes.
this evening?
Correct.
And it's also my understanding that both the Personnel Committee and Finance Committee recommended this as well, in the
That's
same
correct.
manner as the staff's response. So, okay. Any other comments or questions from board members at this point?
Yeah, so in the notes, you'll see that position that this was a recommendation from the consultant that we retire the admin assistant 3 and create an executive assistant. that particular position has duties that don't quite match up well with other organizations. Because for us, there's a broader scope for that position. Sorry, you're in the room, but more, not just administrative duties, but actually supervising administrative staff, serving as an office manager, serving as board clerk, but also serving as an HR role, which we don't have an HR department head or position.
And that new title, that new position was just adopted by the prior action we took on the previous agenda item. I don't know if you caught that, Robert, but anyway.
Yeah, we created the position last time, and if you looked at admin assistant, the series, which used to be separate job descriptions, now are combined, but that 3 is now removed from that. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Does that help, Mr. Anderson? Did it help you? Okay, good. Any other comments or questions from board members before I open it to the public?
I would say that my recollection and my notes are that the Finance Committee recommended bringing the table we now see today to the full board rather than necessarily approving it. But then we had the opportunity to speak with staff and understand that staff was in favor of the schedule as presented, and staff was able to answer some of my questions about some positions which in a previous iteration had only 3 steps were moved back to 5 steps, and there were cases where somebody getting a promotion from the top step would be moved to a first step of a higher classification with more duties and a lower annual or a lower hourly pay. It's likely that'll be corrected in the future. So my problems with my previous quibbles with the scale have been resolved. I would say that I don't know that the compensation study has ever come before the full board or before the public. I know that other agencies whose meetings I attend have generally accepted those in a formal board action. I don't know if that's something that we should be doing, but I did have the opportunity to look through all the consultants' recommendations and understand how we got to this point. And I'm pleased with the process that has led us here, the involvement of the employee representatives and of the committees, and I'm satisfied with the pay scale that we see before us on this agenda item.
Okay, thank you, Director Stonebreaker, for that input. Are there any other comments or questions at this point in time from board? Hearing none, I'll open this to the floor. Is anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this agenda item 5.3, updated salary scales? Now's your opportunity, folks. Judging from the silence, okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board. The board needs to entertain an action potentially as to the recommended agenda item. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the item 1 fiscal year 2025-26 salary scale effective 7/1/25, and item 2 fiscal year 25-26 salary scale effective 1/1/26 as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. We have a motion that's been made and seconded by 2 of our board members. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Jolene Levy,
Aye.
Director Steve Roderick,
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker,
Aye.
Chairperson Alma Green. Motion carries with 5 ayes.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on to new business. New business item 6.1, 2026 election of officers. The Board of Directors will elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary to serve in the 2026 calendar year. So the recommendation on this agenda item from staff is to elect officers to serve on the Board of Directors for 2026 calendar year. I believe, board members, you also have a written staff report relative to this agenda item, and you probably caught on this staff report near the bottom of its page some commentary that staff has given us as board members to also consider relative to this agenda item as it relates to not only the selection officers, but the indication of preferences of committee assignments. I believe that's in there. So I just want recognition by all the board members that you're aware of that too. So, okay,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
If you would like, or I could do it, I think it'd be worthwhile to walk through the script essentially is the same for each position. But I think sometimes, because we do this once a year, and it's kind of a little bit clunky process, that we kind of review those steps. And I don't know if you want to read those steps 1 through 6, or you'd like a staff member to.
Why don't you, District Manager, just for the record, verbalize the steps and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so the process is pretty set, and it just helps to have it laid out here. But the first step is to open nominations for chairperson, vice chair, or secretary. There'd be a motion and second to close the nominations once it seems like that's run its course on the nominations for each of those positions. There would be a roll call vote to close the nominations, and then a motion and second for a nominee. And then there'd be a roll call vote for each person nominated. The first person to reach a majority vote is the one elected, and voting occurs when there is a majority vote. So there's additional 6 is just repeating those steps. So it could be that if there is a majority at the step 5, that closes the process. We'd move on to the next.
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
I think I heard you say there's a motion and a second for a nominee. There's only just a motion. There's no requirement for a second to nominate a person.
To close the nomination.
To close the nomination,
Yeah,
yes.
that's correct. The nominations do not need a second, correct? Yes. Hope that's clear to everybody.
Is everybody okay with this? Okay.
Can I
Yes,
say something?
Madam Clerk?
This one's very hard for me to keep track of, so if we could just maybe take it a little slower of a pace, just to let me write things down. Just throwing that out there. Sometimes it goes a little too quick and I miss things and I don't want to miss anything. So
Before we proceed, I need just to share a comment and see if I can obtain concurrence from the board as well as the key staff members. But this is on the agenda. Should we open this to the public first before we proceed? Does the public have the right to speak to it at all? We've never done it in the past, but I'm
Yeah.
just curious because
That's a really good question. I think because there's not really discretion there's discretion who you select. There's not really any discretion on, we have to go through this process. So, I think any public comment, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But
but I mean, after all these years, it just dawned on me.
Yeah.
It is, and
I think they could discuss the overall agenda item. It's not that each step would have public comment. So, if you do want to open it up for that, I don't see the harm in that, but it would be, I would say before we start the process.
That was my question. So I don't know what the feeling of the board is as a whole. Do you want him to open the whole thing just for general discussion with the public before we proceed one step at a time or not? Whatever you decide is fine with me. It doesn't matter.
I've never seen another agency do this, but I don't object if you would like to open it to the public.
What do the other board members want?
I have no problem with receiving public comment on this.
I have no objection.
Okay, so at this point in time, we're going to open this agenda item to the attending public. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this agenda item? Oh, here he is. Is there anyone online that's wants to speak to this agenda?
We're not taking any,
taking any online. I forgot. I'll say.
no one's else is online anyway, right?
So judging by the silence, and we're going to bring this back to the board. So at this point in time, board, let's proceed with opening nominations for chairperson.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Ellen McGreehan to return as board chair.
I nominate Steve Roderick.
Are there any other nominations at this point in time?
I'll move to close the nominations.
We have a motion to close the nominations for chairperson. Is there a
I
second?
second that closure.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. I'm slowing down for Sarah's sake. I'm sorry.
Now that I'm writing it down this year, it's like, no, she's not joking about it. Yeah.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote on the motion as seconded to close the nominations? Madam Clerk?
Director Jolene Levy,
Aye.
Director Steve Rodwick,
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker, and Vice Chair or Chairperson Alma Green.
Aye.
Motion carries with 5 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point in time, we'll now have a motion and a second to vote on the first nominee. Is there a motion made by any board member?
Isn't this just a straight up and down vote for the first nominee?
Wait,
No, I know that each, now at this point needs to have a second one.
Okay, I nominate,
we already passed
Okay,
that.
I
We already
vote-
passed that.
I vote for, Al McGreehan.
So I will second the motion to vote on Al's nomination, if that's the correct way to do it.
That's it. Yes.
Thank you both, gentlemen. I know it gets confusing. We're going to do this once a year, but okay. Madam Clerk, we have a motion that's been made and seconded to vote on the first nominee, which is myself as named. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Jolene Levy,
Aye.
Director Steve Rodwick,
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker, Chairperson Alma Green.
Abstain.
Motion carries with 4 ayes, 1 abstain.
Well, thank you, fellow board members. I appreciate your support, and I hope I can do it adequate justice during this coming year. Okay, with that action, that concludes this first part of the agenda item. So we're going to move on, board members, to entertain nominations for vice chairperson for 2026.
I nominate Steve Roderick.
Sorry, I nominate Steve Roderick. Any other further nominations, board members? No further nominations, then we need to entertain a motion to close the nominations. Anybody want to so move?
I will move to close nominations for vice chair.
And I'll second that motion. You got that, Madam Clerk? Very good. Okay, so moving on. We'll now take a roll call vote on the motion and as seconded to close the nominations. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Director Jolene Levy, Director Steve Rodwick.
Abstain.
Ooh, you threw me for a curveball. Director Robert Anderson,
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker,
Aye.
Chairperson Alma Green.
Aye.
Motion carries with 4 ayes, 1 abstain.
Very good.
Is that so?
Pardon?
Well, you said Director Stonebreaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aren't you nominated? I thought you were.
Well, was I?
No.
I didn't.
No.
think-
The only person that was nominated was Steve by Robert, and then you also nominated Steve. Correct?
Yeah, you did.
No.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
I misheard it. Folks, I totally apologize.
We had two nominations for Steve. Yeah.
It's been a long day. And I'm the elder on this board. I am. I'm sorry. I thought I heard that. It's been a long day, like I said. Okay, so we only have one nominee. For the record, I apologize for everyone concerned. So we have a motion made to, no, we need a roll call vote, right? We've already done the
Yeah,
motion.
just
second.
point of order
Yeah.
here. So I think we have a motion and second to close nominations. We need a roll call vote on to
On
to
closing.
verify that,
Yeah,
to
okay.
validate it.
Madam, I thought we did that.
We did.
We did.
Yep. And now we need a motion and a second
All right.
Thank
for
you.
the
Just-
nominee.
Just bear with me, folks. So let's go back. Who made the motion to vote on the only nominee and second?
No one has
No one.
All right,
made.
we need to entertain a
Yes.
motion at this point in time to vote on the nominee. Is there a motion to that effect? I need a board member to make a motion to vote on the nominee, which is Steve Roderick.
I'll make a motion.
To do so, okay, now I'll second it, okay? Got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Now we have a roll call vote to appoint
Yes.
the nominee as vice chairperson.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Director Jolene Levy. Director Steve Rodwick.
Abstain.
Director Robert Anderson.
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker. Chairperson Alma Green. Motion carries with 4 ayes and 1 abstain.
Very good. Moving on. We'll now, at this point in time, ask the board to entertain nominating candidates for secretary, board secretary for 2026. I nominate
Jolene.
Jolene Levy.
A motion to close nominations?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to close the nominations for secretary for 2026. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Director Jolene Levy. Yep. Director Steve Rodwick.
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson.
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker.
Aye.
And Chairperson Alma Green. Motion carries with 4 ayes and 1 abstain.
Good, thank you, everyone. So we now have a board appointed chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary for,
Skip a step there.
The nominee. Yeah. So now we'll.
that was just closing?
Yep.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
I need a first and a second for the
And a
nominee.
motion and a second to vote on the nominee.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded to vote on the nominee, the only nominee for secretary. Madam Clerk, can we have that roll call vote, please?
Director Jolene Levy.
I think.
Director Steve Rodwick.
Aye.
Director Robert Anderson.
Aye.
Secretary John Stonebreaker. Chairperson Alma Green. Motion carries with 4 ayes, 1 abstain.
Okay, thank you, folks. We finally have a board appointed chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary for calendar year 2026. So at this point in time, and related to this, it's a prerogative of your chair to entertain board member preferences for committee assignments. And we want to do it this year, at this meeting, rather than wait till January, which we've done in the past. And the reason being is because this better affords each board member, based on your assignment by committee, to already be in proper status so that you could commence with committee meetings in the month of January, which in the past we've always missed. So I'm just going to throw this out there and see what your reaction is as fellow board members. The current makeup of this calendar year, 2025, which is rapidly coming to a close,
Oh, should I go
The-
get those? Forgot to-
the Personnel Committee was Mary Bellafay and Steve Roderick. I would like to suggest, and just bear with me, I'll entertain all 3 committees for everyone's edification, but I would like to suggest that we retain Director Roderick on the Personnel Committee, but we potentially assign
Jolene.
Jolene, rather, excuse me, to that committee, the Personnel Committee. And there's reasons in my thought process for that, based on some of your background and so forth, as it relates to personnel matters, health, benefits, so on and so forth. In addition, the current Finance Committee is made up of Director Roderick and Director Stonebreaker. And I'd like to suggest that we retain Director Stonebreaker in the Finance Committee, and potentially he would become the chair of that committee for the coming calendar year, and put myself on there with you, John, just because I think we might be a good team as far as budgetarily is concerned. And then the Rec and Park District, or I think it's Rec and Park Committee. Um, Robert, you've been on that for several years, and you're really good at it. And I was on there momentarily for the tail end of this calendar year only because I think Mary left, right? So I'm wondering if you'd be comfortable with retaining myself with you this coming year on that committee.
Just flip you to chair.
Pardon?
Just flip you to
Oh,
chair.
that doesn't matter to me. I mean, that would could be, in fact, if you all are in concurrence with this, whenever you have your first meeting, elect your own chair amongst yourselves, if you want to. But just leave it there. But
I would suggest on that, just to keep it going, especially on our minutes and it's the board chair's prerogative. Just, I would say assign it now.
oh, sign it now? Okay. Well, Robert, if you, no? Okay, I guess I'll be the chair then, okay? And then the other assignments like liaison committee and so forth, I don't know if we're in a position to address those now.
Yeah, let me suggest something. And we just had a conversation today with Jolene, for example. So I think there's a really good spread of meetings and organizations that our board members are zeroed in on, and it makes sense to continue that. If there's anything new or assignments that you guys would like, maybe share that with us. Those liaison committees are really voluntary. They're not an assignment of our board, but it has really been good for us to have, except for one, I should say, and that is our Town of Paradise Liaison Committee. But the other ones are just representative, someone that's collecting information, bringing it back to the board that's PRPD related. So I think you can share that with us. We do annually that form that gives committee assignments. If there's any changes on people's schedules, that will help us so we can line it up for the year. And then we can do the excuse me, the liaison or the person that's monitoring on that. So that's on the bottom of the sheet of that. So we can collect all that information, input, and have it in the next board packet.
We got concurrence on the board for that approach?
Yes, concur.
Concur.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I guess there's as reminded as we were talking about it, as the liaison committee assignments, which was you and Director Bellafay, and I think Director Roderick was an alternative on it. So I don't know if you want to retain that or entertain any changes to that. Or at least assign an alternate.
Why don't we just stick with what we got, which is a 2, but we need a volunteer amongst the other board members if they want to be an alternate to that liaison committee. Any volunteers? That would be Jolene, Robert, or John. One.
It's like quarterly, yeah.
Yeah. If it happens that one of the regular members can't attend, I would be happy to be the alternate on that committee.
Thank
Who
you.
so it was Al, and then one more, and then John was the alternate. Steve. Okay. Got it. And then for personnel committee, was Steve going to be the chair for that again? And then Jolene is just on it? Okay, cool. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, I think, well, let's kick it off with Mr. Cobb to give us an update on a lot of park activity that's happened last couple of months.
Oh, hello. Well, there's actually 2 months worth of reports here, so I think we're gonna do cliff noting. I think obviously, well, I'll just look at pictures. And we'll just go over that real quick. Are those up? Do you have availability for those, Scott? I'm just gonna do this really quick. On the first one there, well, it isn't up on the pictures, but we got vandalized again. So we had Sophia got a group of volunteers along with some of our staff and repainted the building over at the one that sits in the back of Aquatic Park. As you can see in the picture there, we painted it, and which was good because we've had paint that we've had from other jobs, and we had enough to paint the whole little building there, and it looks a lot better. It actually turned out nice. And it needed the update, and that kind of gave us a little push to get it done. It's just sad that we get vandalized so much. It's frustrating. But you can see there we've been working on the lake trail, and probably one of the greatest things I think of a lot of our staff, and thanks for Christy for working on it, is we have the playground for Lake Ridge. We have it all, and it's a really nice, and it's big, and that was a big deal to actually be able to have something tangible for that park, to actually physically be able to unload it and look at it. And it is, she did a really good, it's a nice playground. And playgrounds aren't cheap. Anyone that ever goes to purchase one, have a very deep wallet. We had a great event out at the fire festival. We have pictures there where we cut all the fire lines, and on that, and on the second report, I worked with PID to get water. They got a backflow in. We put three spigots, which is actually a big deal on that piece of property. Having water right there on location really makes it much safer and more usable. And plus, any piece of property, I don't care where it is, once you can have water on it, it has a higher value to it. So having the water lines back on, up and running, it's potable, not just water, but potable water on location with 3 different spigots allows us for when we do defensible space clearing out there, we don't have to just rely on 50 gallons of water. We have endless supply from, in case something, God forbid, happens, we have water on location, which really is a big deal. And it was a big deal for the fire festival. I think they felt much more comfortable having that, and we actually got it done about 3 days before the festival. So that was a big deal. And you can see on there, we did the pool casters on for the lane lines at the pool. They were wanting a new rack, and so I was looking at it. I was like, well, let's just update, because really the only thing that was wrong with it was they couldn't move it. So we spent, like, I don't know, maybe $40 in new casters, and saved the district $1,000. So that was a pretty easy fix. The pool, it always ends up, it's like my arch nemesis. The swimming pool is really, we had a major, over the years, well, since I've been here now, so over a decade, it's always gotten clogged every year, and every year we've had to have them come out and rotor-root it. This year I was saying, I'm done. So we finally got someone down there with a camera, and he said, well, this is where it's at. So we dug down, and decades ago, there was a clean out. They buried the clean out, poured concrete over it, and I can just tell from the aging of the concrete, it had to have been at least 20, maybe 30 years ago that this happened. And I don't know how long the clean out had broken, but it was snapped off, and it was just roots, and dirt was just had access right into the main sewer line. So we were able to, with modern technology, it was nice. He right in there pinpointed it with little sensors and his wand, and said, there it is. And we got right there, and we dug it up, and you can see the pictures. And so we ended up putting all new ABS with another new clean out and poured concrete. And so it's nice to have many clean outs you can have is always good on any sewer line. I just want to because the rest there are the pictures from the playground. That picture right there with us getting the keys, that's a huge deal. And thank you, Dan and Christy, and just everyone that worked on that. That building, yes, the PCC it's amazing. I was thinking about before the fire, it seems like we're busier now in this building with recreation, with a lot of Scott's programs that he's got going on that we didn't have prior to the fire. We're actually busier now with a smaller population than we were prior to the fire. We've outgrown this building, and it's an unfortunate thing. So getting that PCC building is a big deal for this district. It's a beautiful building. The water's in our name already, PG&E's in our name. Excuse me. But just opening all the doors of having a modern facility to have new programs in is a big deal. And I really commend you on all the work that's been put into that. And every time I go over there, it's just, I wish we had had it earlier in my career here. And it's just not in the last 2 years and 11 months of it. But it's a beautiful building. It really is. And it's just I see nothing but, excuse me, but positive for the district. Because it just amazes me how we've outgrown this. This building is outgrown. And being able to have new, and just because there are people already wanting to get over there. And to rent it out and to use it. And we just got the keys. So it's absolutely going to be nothing but a positive for this district. And we're lucky for all the board members of the facility that got that built. It's a beautiful building. It really is. And they put a lot of work into it, and to just hand it over to us, we're very lucky to have that. We really are, to have a multi-million-dollar facility. Just here's the keys. It doesn't happen too often. So we're really lucky on that. And I made sure that Mike, who I've worked with, Mike Shore, more than anyone else, there was a whole board that was involved, but and let them know that it was in good hands. And what's nice was a compliment from him, because we were doing it out here. And he said, just from the looks of your facility, we know it is. And so that made me feel good, and it really did. And Paul's here, he's on our maintenance staff. And these guys are all the ones, the reason I think that helps them feeling comfortable to give it to us, because they see how good we take care of things. And it's because of employees like Paul that they see that, and they say, okay, it's going to be in good hands. And they're not just handing it off and it's going to be run down and torn up and just neglected. It's going to be very well taken care of and maintained like we do here. This is an older facility, and it's a nice facility. Other than that, is there any questions? Thank you for not having any.
Wait a second. No, I was going to really recommend, if you didn't get a chance on the way in, to walk the grounds. Crew did a fantastic job. We heard a joke at the front desk that a patron came in and said, if you stand still long enough, you're going to get covered in lights. So our trash cans are even covered in lights, but it was really set for a good tone for a great event with the tree lighting and tiny tots. And Jeff, why don't we kick it to you to talk a little bit about all the activities just this last weekend and others.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. Let's see. So yeah, it's hard to believe, we missed our November meeting. So we had stuff on there. Some of the stuff I had highlighted of my programs was the youth judo class. As you can see, we have that on Wednesdays, so a lot of you probably see them. They're usually in this room, and that might be one of the programs we move over to the new community center, just because they're in a conflict here. At least once or twice a month, they get squeezed into a smaller room, and that's an ongoing year-round class. We finished up our cross-country races back in the end of October. Like Mark mentioned, the pool, we were still using the pool through October 31st with the Paradise High School. So they finished up their usage, and they've been billed along with the Home Tech Charter, and the Piranhas have already paid their bill. We did have the PRPD Halloween. I don't know if Scott's able to bring up a couple pictures from that. It was really fun. It was here in this building. It was the Saturday before Halloween, October 25th. We had a great staff here, along with volunteers from Interact Youth Group Services. I'll let Scott touch on some of his outdoor education programs. We did also have our Pinewood Derby races on November 15th. Lots of events in the last couple months here. And as Dan mentioned, we have 2 district reports in here. I didn't get a whole lot in the newer district report for this meeting, but one of the main things I was involved with, Dan mentioned the tree lighting, which was actually 4 different events that we had here last Saturday. We had the holiday craft fair. We had 18 vendors, so it was, I think it was totally sold out. We could have taken a couple more food vendors out on the court, but it was all inside here. We had about 15 vendors around the perimeter of this building. It went really good. Throughout that day, we had the Tiny Tots, the Tiny Voices singing out here on the stage on the basketball court. We had Santa's arrival on a fire truck from the Cal Fire from Paradise. So Santa came on a fire truck, and that was really fun for the kids. And then Santa had a meet and greet with all the kids. I don't know if any of you all were here. I don't think I saw you were out. I don't remember seeing anybody, but and then the end of the night, well, the next thing we did was the tree lighting down here by the gazebo, and that was as far as the PRPD events for the day. That's what we did, and then the truck parade happened after that. So it's just one thing after another all day long. Yeah, and that's kind of all I had to report on. Unless anybody had any questions.
I was gonna say really the tree lighting and all these things are kind of accumulating experiences with our staff doing the decorations, but also participating in it. Christine and her kids and Sophia were hopping on endless amounts of hot chocolate. It seemed like every time I turned around, they're carrying a new vat of water out here to heat up in long lines. Happy people. We had Connor, wherever he went. Shout out to Connor that he did an accompaniment, so we didn't have to mumble through the singing that we did at the tree there. Had lyric sheets out there, so the singing was an upgrade from the adults out there. Tiny Todd's did a fantastic job. Teacher Lori's amazing to get those 3 and 4 year olds out there to perform, and some wet eyes to go along with the singing. So it's just a great event, and Jeff did a good job on orchestrating having this. This was a very full space with you said 18 vendors, Jeff? 18 vendors here. So yeah, it just seemed like a very full day, and a lot of staff worked hard to make it happen.
And if I may add, I got here relatively late last Saturday, but my compliments to the staff and the volunteers. My gosh, I saw at the tail end of things basically here where you were wrapping things up. I ran into Christy and her son. It was just amazing. Thank you all very, very much on behalf of the board and the public. And I stayed long enough to then watch the truck parade, and my God, I've been a long time resident up here. That was the longest truck parade I have ever seen for that event. Seriously. I'll bet you that the duration of that parade probably took, I have no idea how many minutes, but it was so long that it doubled back onto itself, going up and down the skyway. It's just really something to behold. And then one real quick comment, just not while you're here, Jeff, but just in staffs. I noticed in the district report that efforts are already underway for the spring and summer activity guide. I don't know as from a recreation standpoint whether or not Jeff, you're working with your staff on a senior softball tournament sometime in the spring, but if you've got the dates picked, maybe that could be in the guide, perhaps. And then another comment I just want to share for the sake of everyone. Any thought given to maybe putting in the activity guide for during the summer months, maybe using our vehicles and offering people to sign up and be actually van down through Butte Creek Canyon and maybe have interaction with the Centerville Museum and school and or Honey Run Covered Bridge? That could be maybe one of our, just a thought. I'm just
Actually, I could mention something on that. Our vans in the summer are booked, so we have a lot of camps, and those are, Scott can mention this in his remarks, but very dependent on those vehicles. But we do bring down the vans for a couple events down there. One is to help shuttle people when they have their fundraisers, and also on the cleanup days. So we have a very strong presence down there with our volunteers, and our vans make the round down there to bring them. Scott.
What's up, party animals? Well, I'm glad to see you. I know it's a long meeting, so I'll get punchy. Boy, oh boy, wasn't that some tasty chili? 10 chili chefs. We started with 2 or 3 and had an amazing, beautiful day. Uh, Al, I could tell you're getting a little caught up there in that moment of just gratitude of thinking of, just all the people out there singing with their children and the hot chocolate. And, just a few years ago, that didn't exist. And same with bags and beans, same with so many other things that we get to report here. Something about year 7 after the fire really has us all feeling that Christmas spirit, and the weather has really helped a ton. Knock on wood. That's right. Connor, I'm going to start here, but then you get to go in either direction to do the photos. What you all see up there is year 5 of bags and beans. There's now a Big Boss bean burner belt that is a big deal, and people are battling for it. The gentleman that is holding the belt right there is actually not the winner. He was someone from out of town that came in, and Willie awarded him the wrong belt. So we actually got to take that belt away from him. It's just part and parcel for, getting better at doing this year in and year out. He is excited to come back next year. That is Dean from Kicking Ash and Making Flames. And then we've got Brian from Triple B, who's also a part of Feather River Parks and Rec. He's a big partner of ours. So I wanted to leave those up there for my initial discussion, in that it's now that weekend is the Campfire Memorial. Folks go to the Phoenix 5K, they go home and they shower up, and then they come back, and that's their day. So we've really made a staple, beautiful thing for the community.
I just want to mention, you were all over the place. I think I counted 3 generations of Amex. There might have been more, but it was just like you surrounded everybody. But good job.
Well, thank you. It was very special for me. I got to have my dad there and cooking with me. So it was very, very special. Like I said, Connor, can you take it back to page 72, please? Or excuse me, page 69. The hard part about missing a report is that we don't get a chance to celebrate one of the bigger things that we've done all year long. The Harvest Fest, the Mothers on the Ridge Harvest Fest happened in October, so we would have reported in early October, so we would have reported that in November, and now in mid to late December. It feels odd, yet the quote is nonetheless pertinent. I am so appreciative of the Harvest Festival event. The pumpkin patch for my son, the great music, the free bounce house, face painting, balloon art, just a great, safe place to bring my kid on a solo outing. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. You truly fill my cup up with warm caring for family community. I mean, what else should I say here? That sums up the Networking Neighborhoods grant perfectly. It also sums up kind of the ride that the staff have been on in putting on just this mass amount of things, and then bringing the community in along to help us do all that. So, hey, we did that. I don't even know that we have many pictures from it, but if you were there were 1,300 people there, and Eggleston Field was packed. Director Stonebreaker and I had a chance to high five. That's always fun. I could end the report right there, but thank you, Robert. Halloween came and went. It was fun and beautiful, very, very special. Shout out to Teacher Lori and Jeff and that entire crew. Outdoor Education for All is still just singing along. We had a convening which brought people from all over Butte County. Dan was there as well to say a couple things and to hear from all of our partners. And it's just another one of the neat things that we're doing that stretches beyond our district, even though it is rooted here. Healing Trauma Through Nature, field trips are in full swing. You can see that we've got a whole bunch of them there in October, a bunch more of them in November, and we're setting them up for next year. The Elements program, which is another thing that the grant funding runs out early in next year. The impact that this program is making, I can't speak to great enough. And I just can't wait until you have some of those participants in front of you again. Following them on Facebook is the best way to kind of catch the vibe, because they can tell their story a lot better than I can. And then we had an astronomy on the lake, and it happened to be the day of my birthday. So it was a raging good party, meaning we looked at the stars. Moving on. In November, we did bags and beans. I already mentioned that. And then we've done a lot since then. We've also had the Good Fire Festival, and we only briefly touched on it, but it's one of those other things that other districts and other groups from outside of our area are watching us do this as groundbreaking out in front type of folks. Blake Ellis led that for us, or led that, and we were a partner with it. And I wanted to shout out to Connor. Connor and several other people gathered media for that so that Dan can go give those presentations in other places. The Good Fire Festival is here to stay, and I just want everyone to hear the words Good Fire Festival so that next year, when it's this massive sold out event, you're not surprised. Capital City CPR came in to train us in first aid, and we literally got to stick our fingers into wounds to stop blood. And it was transformational for us. We mentioned it in other meetings, but Dan used to be Dan is an EMT now.
I let it pass last year. So,
Well,
no,
luckily,
after 20 some years.
after 20 something years, he had his hands full at this other job. Apparently he's got or whatever. It was transformational for us as an organization, as one of the things that we recognize, and I can't emphasize this enough. 10 minutes on the trail at Paradise Lake is 55 minutes away from definitive care. So at Enloe. So simply taking a hike on the trail, if you catch a break, I mean, it's a really big deal. Without Feather River there, even being in this room, you're in more risk than if it wasn't there. Luckily, Dan is now the wilderness first responder, first aid. I have first aid. Connor, oh my gosh, Pablo's here. I'm just waiting for it. And as cheeky as we are, it really opened our eyes to what a situation we have and what an opportunity we have to be a medically oriented organization that prioritizes safety of horses, of humans. I mean, it's as cheeky as I'm being right now. We were put into a scenario where someone bled out in 15 minutes from a bicycle crash. And I ride my bike at Paradise Lake all the time. So we're going to be very, very out in front of this type of thing moving forward. So we also look for it as a team building opportunity. So expect us to be mentioning that this type of thing is what we're known for. It's also an opportunity to fill the PCC with training classes for wilderness first aid. Wink nudge. Director.
I was under the impression that Paradise had full-time ambulance service here.
From the ambulance station on Skyway in Magalia, it's a 30-minute through Kudalink to our spot at boat launch number 2 and beyond.
And if they're out on a call, they're going to divert someone else up there. So coming
As a
from Chico-
firefighter, I have huge respect for paramedics,
Oh yeah,
but they aren't the emergency room.
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Just to add on this effort that we had with Capital City CPR. Is that what
Capital
they're
City.
called? So Scott did a great job in following up with them. Had acquainted myself with the instructor there, but this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time with our staff. But I also wanted to have it as not only our staff and team building and us being safe and good models, but then I think in the next couple of years, really open it up to the public. And sort of this might be other future partnerships with other health providers in the area as well. But, you know, just have a lot better training. One of the things that we learned a lot of things, very hands-on, but one of the stats they talked about was the experience of Seattle on their success with CPR is much better than the entire rest of the country because they've gone out of their way to provide people education, have AEDs and locations and so forth. And I think that we could do a small part here on really good first aid for our staff to protect ourselves and our patrons, but also share that, disperse it through the community. So it's kind of exciting. See what happens next.
I know it's early, it's not very old technology. It's pretty new technology, but they have a belt that, that does the CPR for
Oh,
you.
We got he rolled out
And I don't know
all
how
of it.
perfected it is yet, but that might be something that should be next to an AED in the future.
Thank you, Director. One of the things that it really did is it just started opening the conversation. It's a very open conversation now because when the blood's flowing, you either know it or you don't. So we want to be the people that know it. And I think that that will breed respect in other areas, how we host events, how we approach simply the idea of recreation on the ridge. If we are medically trained, it could go a long way to saving some lives. And I'm accepting questions.
Thank you, Scott. Mark touched on it, but I just want to make sure everyone knew it was December 1st that we got the keys for the Paradise Community Center. So that's really kicked in motion a lot of activity. We had a meeting with key staff there the other day to look at programming and opening up for the public and so forth. Some of our classes here are likely to move over there because of the reasons that they mentioned. We're running out of space, some of the classes, and this room and space are in demand, but we want to open up some things over there, especially particularly yoga and Jeff mentioned the judo and some other classes. That will start increasing over time. We don't even have furniture over there, or I think we have a table over there right now. So there's a lot for us to finish out, and we'll keep you posted on that. There's going to be a lot of progress for the next few months on it. There's a lot of stuff. It is 2 months of reports, but I will defer to any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, staff. Does the board have any questions on the district reports for the last 2 months or comments?
Want to comment that the interest received on the class account dropped by 0.15% month over month, has been dropping for several months. Would still like to hear a report from Meter, maybe to Finance Committee in the next couple months, about how much longer we can keep the yield on the longer term bonds. I don't know that that will continue to be available, especially as we are continuing to rely on interest from that account to offset our operational deficit. And I would say I had many, many interactions with the goats. That there was a nice electric fence directly on the edge of pavement on Dogtown Road. Had a dog get past one time, but the goats stayed behind. Noticed that the goats very much preferred the leaves on the deciduous brush, which would have soon fallen off anyway, and the stems are pretty much still there. Also noticed that the PID board packet for November had an item saying that Hansky Farms was offering them the rate of $250 per acre, which was much better than the rate they offered us because that work was going to be done in conjunction with the work on Lake Ridge Park. That item was dated November 8th, which was the day that we had the meeting here, and had not necessarily agreed to that. So it's interesting the way in which this service was procured. And I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I am a bit concerned about the presumption in the second district report about all the other properties on which grazing might occur. So certainly there are some properties like the landlocked properties south of Paradise where forest is never going to happen. You're going to remain in savanna indefinitely. And then there are areas like Kudalenk Park, which could be closed canopy forest, and there's a lot of difference between the biomes that could exist there. I'm sorry, this would be on page 71 where we're being educated. So I am not speaking from a position of ignorance. I still have concerns about the district's emphasis on vegetation removal when we are a recreation district and the Enabling Act gives us the ability to maintain open space within the context of recreation. So I don't know if we can ever have this agendized. So I don't, perhaps I should wait for later in the meeting, but with all of the other agencies whose meetings I attend, there are opportunities for the board members or commission members to have items brought to the agenda. So those are things that I would like to be able to discuss in the presence of my fellow board members. Thank you.
Well, part of your commentary, I guess, was related to the district reports for the last 2 months, but some of it was beyond. And you could have done that under board comments, but that's besides the point. So let's move on, folks. At this point in time, is there anything else on the district reports from the board members? Okay, so hearing none, at this point in time, I'm going to call a 5-minute recess. And after the 5 minutes, we'll come back, reconvene, and then announce going into closed session. 5-minute recess. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in open session. At this point in time, as chair, I'm going to report that the board intends to go into closed session at this time to discuss, pursuant to section 54956.8, and discuss potential interest in real estate negotiations related to park expansion within our district boundaries. So at this point in time, we're going to go into closed session and just have the board and key staff members present at this point in time. Thank you. At this point in time, as chair, I need to announce that we are out of closed session. We've reconvened in open session. And relative to closed session item 8.1, the board and district managers discussed potential interest in real estate negotiations related to park expansion within our district boundaries, and the board gave staff some direction. So moving on, item 9, tonight's board comments. Can we start with Director Anderson, please? Any board comments for the sake of the order?
Just be careful driving home if you're going down the hill, going through that fog. 2 nights ago, I saw a truck and trailer with their lights flashing on the side of the road. Of course, I figured they broke down. They hit a deer. I went over that deer with my passenger side tires. And when you go over something this big at 55 miles an hour, you feel it. I'm very impressed with my Lexus because it didn't seem to be damaged. The plastic little cover in the under the fender, it got dented up, but it drove fine. I drove up to Lower Yankee Hill and pulled over to look and see what kind of damage there was because I figured there had to be some damage, but it drove fine up to there, and then it drove fine home, and it's been driving fine. I don't know why, but I know you have to go down the hill.
Thank you, Director Anderson. Director Stonebreaker?
Yesterday, I had the privilege of attending by Zoom the Paradise Irrigation District Community Relations Committee meeting, followed by the Paradise Irrigation District Finance Committee meeting. It's really beneficial to see how other districts carry out their business. Nice to see that they have planned a community advisory or citizens advisory or something like that committee to discuss the most palatable option for a Prop 218 election on a forthcoming rate increase. They expect that they're going to need to more than double rates over the next 10 years to remain solvent, and they're trying to find a way to get the community, which turned down the school bond, on board with that. Also attended the Water Commission meeting last week, where one of the commissioners had the privilege of asking for staff to agendize an update on the Miocene Canal, which of course had been one of our Town of Paradise's and the district's recreational amenities that is currently out of service. But a number of water users in the Butte Valley area have been significantly put out by the lack of that conveyance. Also, good to be strengthening those alliances with the other water users. With a unknown, the PID has shown interest in the acquisition of the DeSable Centerville project. So, by my attendance there at the Water Commission, and strengthening alliances with the commissioners themselves and with the staff, it helps to build this coalition to make sure that whatever entity, whether it's PID or some other entity, takes over the DeSable Centerville project after PG&E relinquishes it, that the water will continue to flow across the Upper Ridge. That Hendricks Ditch and Upper Centerville are assets to the district and to our community. That's what I need to say.
Thank you, Director Stonebreaker. Director Roderick?
I'll reiterate the proposed grand rededication of the expanded and much improved Paradise Town Animal Shelter. It'll occur on January 24th from 12 to 3. Tentatively, I haven't seen it on the chamber schedule yet, but that's the plan. And I just want to also commend our Paradise Lake crew. It was 2 or 3 Sundays ago. It was extensive downed trees across the trail. The next visit was 1 week later. It was all clear. So, and everybody have a safe and joyous and wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, Director Roderick. Director Levy?
I'll just share that tomorrow night Adventist Health is doing their tree lighting. I haven't seen it go out from the chamber yet, but it is supposed to be tomorrow night at 5:30 at the clinic on Skyway here in Paradise, 5125 Skyway. They're going to do a tree lighting, Santa, pictures, hot cocoa, all families, communities invited. And I'll just mirror what you said, just about being safe. It gets super foggy first thing in the morning, late at night. So for all you going down the hill, be safe.
I don't remember a fog bank like this in the past. It's been like 2 weeks.
Not this
Sunny up
lengthy
at
and
my
not
house.
this early.
And it's cold and dreary down at my son's house in Orville. And I got to go through that twice a day.
We can relate to what you're saying, Robert. I've been going through that fog band, whatever you want to call it, sometimes 5, 6, 7 days a week, twice a day, sometimes 3, 4 times a day. It's nerve-wracking, quite frankly. It really is. But anyway, as far as board comments, as I'm concerned, normally I have a monthly Butte LAFCO meeting, but during the month of December, which is usually the first Thursday of the month, they had no business to attend to, so we had no meeting, which I kind of appreciated that. My last board comment is thank you all for your support this past year as board members and staff, and I wish you all a safe and healthy upcoming 2 holidays before we get to the end of this year, and look forward to us working all together this next coming year, 2026. So with that, we're gonna